There we go. There we go. I'd like to welcome everybody to another episode of the Splash Brothers Luncheon. As always, this is Hurricane, episode 13, lucky number 13. We'll see. I think it's 13. We're being joined once again by a very special guest, Feeny. Sure you guys recognize the voice and everything by now. Wanted to have him on this is kind of like, I know we dropped the episode yesterday, but this was kind of, I feel like sometimes you got to split things up. Like you can't talk about everything. Well, I mean, I guess you can, but sometimes I like to, okay, we can like focus in on a couple subjects. And yeah, so that's what we're doing today. Once again, like I said, I'm joined by Feeny. And yeah, it's just, there was a couple articles that had like popped up, or just like topics that had popped up. And, you know, I like talking to Feeny about some of those things, just like, you know, I like his perspective. And yeah, I sort of feel like if I'm going to have like I want to have like an intellectual conversation about something, he's definitely like towards the top of that list of like people that I would want to talk to. So, and like community things and stuff like that, just because like based off our old conversations and, you know, like the way you carry yourself, brother. All right. So yeah, I know you saw it was a Newark, New Jersey Police Department article that came out. I think it was like Saturday. And basically what it was saying was that in 2020, none of their officers fired a single shot. And along with that, they didn't pay a cent in police brutality during that year. Crime dropped, and it's been dropping since 2017, since the last 5 years. And the article goes into like try to explain why. But you know, the DOJ has been there, Department of Justice has been there since that time, and I guess they really like cracked down. Also during that time, yeah, crime has dropped 40% over the last 5 years, and I was just like, you know, I mean, I'm still that's one police department, that's one area, you know, and I mean, yeah, if we could figure out how to get that done, if no police department, or if you could count on two hands how many shots were fired, or, you know, because I mean, other countries do it, you know, they don't even have guns, and, you know, their crime and all that is way down compared to ours. But yeah, like I'm still against the institution of it, because just, you know, the inception, you know, like you know, all the time, some things can't be reformed. And, you know, if you know how, you know, police got started in this country, you know, they were started, or, you know, their whole mission at first was to catch free slaves. So it's like from its inception, you know, that organization hasn't been working towards our favor. You know, it's been working toward the country at largest, what they want, which is often the opposite of what we would like. But yeah, man, I mean, were you encouraged by that article at all? Did you have any thoughts on it, or are you back in the blue now?
No, I'm still ACAB gang. Like I'm gonna be ACAB as long as police are around. But yeah, reading it, like it's funny. I think a lot of people saw it and were like, "See, this is what police could be." And when I read it, I was like, "See, this is like, to me, this is a step towards like abolishing and defunding police. Like this, completely restructuring how police operate, like spending less money, like giving them less money because they don't need it for like police brutality lawsuits. Like
right.
This is like when you completely restructure what police are, you're like like police have evolved to something new, and then if they evolve enough times, they stop being police. Like at some point, they're not police anymore. Because it's not like the idea of like policing like as a verb like is a bad thing. Like
Right.
you can the neighborhood can police itself. Like people in the neighborhood can look out for each other and make sure that things are straight. Like if somebody gets robbed or whatever, be like, hey, I saw this, and like take care of each other. That's a thing. That's policing itself. The verb is not a bad thing. The institution as it exists in America is a bad thing.
Right.
So like when I saw that, I was like, oh, so you guys basically brought in people from the neighborhood to be the police. That's community policing. That's
Right.
like it's a lot harder to shoot at people when you know them.
No.
Like and I think that's like an American, not even a global problem really, but an American problem in general. Like especially with technology and everything. Like I don't know who lives next door to me. Like I know the people to the right of my house,
Right.
because like during the hurricanes, like we took care of each other because like I was an older couple and they had like a tree in their yard and we helped them get rid of it. But like I don't know who lives to the left of me. I don't know who lives across from me. So like if you ask me to police this neighborhood, I'm still not gonna have like the highest level of empathy. Like, well, I know that kid. He you know that's Jimmy's son. Like I don't know none of these people. So like you can do that in certain neighborhoods for sure that are more tight knit, especially in the Northeast where people kind of like have to be outside with each other. They walk and all that. But I don't think it's a universal solution, but I think it's an evolution for that city that's going to eventually lead to like not being policed. Because we've seen evidence. We've seen like cities defund their police and give money to other resources and crime went down.
Yeah.
Less people died, less crimes were committed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it was like, I was trying to find like the hole in it because I was just like, reading it, kept scanning. This is a couple months old. It's the first time I'm seeing it. But just like trying to, okay, so what did crime do? Oh, okay, crime went down. Okay, well, what did blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, they took, 500 guns off the street. And it's like, oh, okay. And then, but honestly, there was a little part of that article that stuck out to me where I don't remember who it was that said it, but it was just like I think it was just the sentiment of like that area that they're feeling that, when the DOJ leaves, everything's going to go back to normal, which the first thing that popped in my head was Reconstruction. And I know it's like, it's completely, well, not completely different, but it was, the one similarity that these two situations shared is that the government was like, no, we're going to do this. We're going to make sure, this happens, in Reconstruction, we're going to make sure these Black people vote, blah, blah, blah. Like there was, that was a situation where the government was working toward, our efforts. And then as soon as that period was over and, those troops left, then Jim Crow came. So I don't know. I mean, it was nice to see just like, I mean, I don't think that, I feel like people are pretty dug in on their opinions. I don't really know like how many there are that are actually, have like that mental like flexibility enough and to admit that or to kind of see how they may be wrong and then change their mind. But it's always nice to hit people with facts. You know what I'm saying? I like to be armed with facts when I'm in an argument. And so yeah, it's like, okay, well, this, like you said, I mean, there's different reasons why it may be more successful in that area than it could be in other areas. But, at the same time, if I start a business where we got a profit of 5 million each year, you can say, oh, well, I was like, I mean, I still got the profit, it's not something that you could take away. So, but yeah.
I think that Reconstruction comparison is like a very smart comparison. Because like, I mean, we were talking about it before we started recording. Like I was saying, like, yeah, my superintendent was on campus today. Like, so I literally had to tell my kids, like, hey, all the stuff I don't care about usually, like, I don't care that y'all wear hoods in class. I don't care that you have headphones in. I don't care that you wear a do-rag.
Yeah.
I really don't give a fuck about cussing. Like, there's just a lot of rules that I think are stupid. So in my room, I'm not applying. I'm not gonna write you up because you said nigga. Like that's stupid to me. Today you can't cuss. Today you can't wear. That's basically like the federal government being in your city. Like it's like we can't fuck up. Like we have to be on our P's and Q's. Mm-hmm. The shit we would usually say in the car, like we can't say that shit in the car because they're looking at our body camera footage. Like, so it's like, yeah, they have to be on their best behavior. And as soon as the feds are not watching them,
yeah,
how does that revert back to the culture that already existed? Like right. you can't completely restructure the culture in 2 or 3 years that's existed for decades. So I think that's a really good comparison. And also like it blends into like the way like because policing is like city and like state and county run.
Yeah.
And like whenever the federal government steps in, like it says, hey, y'all can't do that shit, like they shut it down. But if you don't, like the federal government can say whatever they want. If they don't put any teeth to what they say, if they don't make somebody enforce it, it's like when they did like busing back in the 60s and 70s. They were like, hey, segregation's illegal now.
Yeah.
And people were like, okay, yeah, we'll segregate the schools. We got you. The schools will be desegregated. And so some cities took 20, 30, 40 years to desegregate. Some cities still are segregated, like just by the nature of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, the government can say, the government can say do a thing, but if the federal government doesn't step in and say you're going to do this today, it doesn't happen. And that's Newark. Like they stepped in and said you're going to fix this shit now, and it worked. So like maybe the DOJ should spend their time like in every major city, like get to every metropolitan area and put your foot down.
Yeah, it worked in this. So how about you go to the LAPD next, go to the NYPD next. You know what I'm saying? Hit the big cities and see. But I like the point you said. Like it's okay if you're, I guess reforming to that level is closer to abolishment than reform. You know, if I, it does kind of seem like it's like like you knock the whole house down and it's like it's still a house. We did reform it. It's like you changed the whole thing. And like I agree. Like if that's what the plan is, then I could get with it. It doesn't say nothing about how many times they stop niggas for no reason, but at least not shooting them is it's progress.
Yeah, I had that conversation. With a friend this week because he was like, I mean, he's like anti-police. Like he's come a long way from being like, well, not all cops are bad, blah blah. And now he's like, not policing like as a whole is broken. Like it needs to this whole thing needs to be torn down. He's not an abolitionist like yet, but I was like, you're asking the questions and like in leftist terms you call it like the contradictions. You're seeing the contradictions and you can't resolve them. Mm-hmm. So the only answer is like this doesn't work, and then that's how you end up a leftist. It's like because you see the contradictions. And he had said he was like, it's so crazy to me how few police interactions like end in murder. And I was like, yeah, like if 1 in like 10,000 ended like a death, that sounds good. But like how many end with an ass whooping? How many end with a tasing? How many end with like just general harassment? How many end with getting followed because you're black? How many end with a ticket that shouldn't have been administered? How many end with like an illegal chokehold? Like just because I didn't kill you doesn't mean I didn't choke you out. Mm-hmm. How many end with like, and you can just list off all the shit that like, and we don't have to be like, it doesn't have to be an organized list. You can just be asking a group of niggas like, name a thing a police officer has done to you, and you can come up with 50 things that are not death that are still really bad. Yeah. Like them following me to my house was not like they didn't kill me, but they still made me very afraid. They put terror in me. Right.
Yeah. Motherfucker said he stopped me because I didn't come to a full stop at a stop sign a few blocks ago. It's like, okay, if that's why you still why did 3 police cars pull up for that? Yeah, that's like, what y'all So that's the kind of shit that matters as well. Like, yes, it's like it just reminds me of I don't know if you've seen that what's his name? Michael Che stand up where he's like that black people weren't even fighting for equal rights. We're fighting for civil. Civil. We just put civil. Can we be civil? Let's just be civil. Like that's like, it's like, okay, well, cops finally are not shooting unarmed black and brown people for no reason or beating their ass unnecessarily. I'm like, yeah, okay, but we're still fucking following you. We're not gonna beat your ass, we're not gonna kill you, but we're still gonna harass you. Like, I mean, okay, that's progress, but can I get treated like the white? No. We're not shooting you. We're not. Yeah. So
we're like relax. Like, are we gonna give you more tickets and arrest you more? Oh yeah, we're not. If we stop doing that, what else are we gonna do? Yeah, we like that. We like to have fun. We're gonna bother white people. Yeah, like you want me to go to the white neighborhoods? I'm not doing that. Yeah. No, I'm gonna still have 7 cars in your neighborhood at all times, but we won't shoot anybody. Yeah.
But we'll tase the shit out of you though, motherfucker. We like seeing them black bodies vibrate off the ground, but we're not gonna do it.
Yeah, like they told us we gotta stop killing y'all. So fine.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to track tasing anyway.
Yeah.
You can't prove I tased you. Prove it.
Yeah, the motherfuckers have them. You always see them in movie like those electrified sticks, like electrified billy clubs. Like, hey man, keep moving. Like, you can just tell me why you got shot. I like doing it. Like, yeah, okay, that's enough. Yeah, the other thing that had come up, yeah, I hit Feeny about this was, like I've seen people for a long time like talk about Airbnb and you shouldn't use them and all of this, and from what I had seen was initially was just racism, like fucking I think it was another this is a Chappelle joke where he was like, Draymond Green is such a black name. He's like, Draymond Green is so black that if you log into Airbnb with that, it'll immediately lock you out or some shit like that. So yeah, like I had heard stories about people, and I mean, I don't know if this is wild. I got a couple like cancellations, and they didn't have like a really good excuse, like, oh, actually, we're gonna be out of town those days and shit like that. But yeah, then I saw on the timeline that Airbnb was like contributing to gentrification, and I was like, initially I was like, oh, what, like how? And yeah, I asked Feeny, remember your explanation? I'll let you, I don't want to butcher what you said, but
no, you're good. Yeah, because gentrification is not like, it's one of those topics where I have a base understanding. It's not one of those things I feel like I'm super well read on.
Right.
But it's a thing I'm starting to see in my own city. So it's like, all right, I got to get to the books on this because I don't live in Pensacola. This is not a big city at all. Like I think it's like 50,000 people, but they want it to be a bigger city. They're trying to attract more people. And you can see like downtown, like I was joking with my boy because we used to stay like in a neighborhood downtown. Like we were like right by all the bars. Like we were like half mile, maybe a mile from all the bars, from all like the other good spots downtown. But we were also like a half mile up. Like, we had the corner store called like the Smoking Shop, where like you walk in, they sell like they only sell like snacks, blunt wraps, pipes, and then like they have like a food shop in the back where it's like one lady just like making fried chicken and shit. So I was like, all right, this is the perfect spot to live in because we're still like hood adjacent and we're near downtown. Like, and we only stayed there for a few months because we were staying with his brother. But I drove by that same area the other day, and this was like 2 years ago. I drove by the other day and I saw like a white, and this is one of those like gentrification is here signs. I saw a white gay couple riding bikes in flip flops. I was like, y'all niggas have no fear. If you're in flip flops, you like, I forgot what comedian said it. It might have been Mero, but it was some comedian was like, if you in flip flops, like you have no natural predators. Like, you never feel like you have to run. Like you don't think you have to run from anybody if you're in flip flops. That's why they
don't even move fast. You're just chilling. Yeah, like you're off.
Yeah, you're in casual mode. Like and they're on bikes just riding through like, oh, this looks nice. And I'm like, damn, we're in Portland? What's going on? But like, yeah, like so Airbnb, like where it contributes, as I understand it, and like, anybody feel free to fact check me because I'm still trying to get more read on this, but is like people, well, because like it started with like, I live here, and I'm gonna be out of town this weekend. I might as well let somebody rent out my house, like and make some money off of it, which is innately not a bad thing. Like it seems like a reasonable like business idea, or even like, and this is where we get into like a landlord like over controlling housing bullshit. Is like, well, I own 3 houses, so like I'll live in this one, and I'll just like people rent out the second and third houses. Where I can just use Airbnb and make quicker money instead of renting it out to somebody. And even like renting out a second and third house is still like some gentrification bullshit because like you don't need to own 3 houses. Like this is one of those things where like similar to like cops, like on the left, like being a landlord is considered like a bad thing. People are like, why? Like it's just another way of making money. I'm like, because you're exploiting the housing market. You have enough money to own 3 houses, so it's like you don't need to own 3 houses. That's excessive. Like you're overusing resources to make a profit. You're exploiting the fact that I don't have good enough credit to get a house. And instead of them being like, well, we need to sell this house, maybe we can sell it to him. You bought it up with your excess wealth, with your excess money, and are now going to exploit my need for housing. So like, even being a landlord is fundamentally like, it's being a capitalist. It's exploiting resources for profit. So with Airbnb, you're doing the same thing. You're buying, like, people are buying up houses now, like especially like in like poor neighborhoods. Because I like last time I used an Airbnb was I went to a festival with my now ex in Miami, and we were like, we just want to be like, you know, near real people, and like we're not from here. I don't want to be in a hotel off somewhere. Miami's super expensive. We got a dirt cheap Airbnb. We was in the hood. Like at like midnight, we came back from the festival, and there was like a Spanish family outside, like playing cards and playing dice and shit. And I was like, wow, this feels like my house. Like growing up, I feel like I'm at home.
Right.
But what I didn't realize is, like, you know, at the time, especially, somebody owns this apartment who doesn't live in this neighborhood, who's not from here, and is raising the value of this neighborhood because they're letting me stay in here, and I get to be like authentic. I'm staying in the hood with the real Cubanos and the Dominicanos and shit. This feels great. This feels really cool. But like,
you didn't know that those were paid actors.
Look, it could have been any of my cousins. It's just like, you pay me how much to shoot dice? Got it. I'm in there. But no, so it's like, you know, people buy up properties in poor neighborhoods, and then like, because in big cities, like a lot of times the hood is near like useful resources.
Yeah.
Because like in Orlando, for example, like you go by the airport, the area around the airport poor as shit. The area around Disney World doesn't have like super nice housing. The area around like downtown Orlando by like the Amway Center and all the nice spots. Outside of downtown, everything around that is poor as shit. Because who works at that bar? Somebody who ain't got a car to drive to another job. They got to walk down to that bar they work at. Who works at Disney World? Broke niggas who can't afford to drive that far for work or don't have a car. Who works at the airport? TSA, like, and I'm stealing some comedian's joke. I can't remember who it was, but they were like, TSA isn't like highly trained fucking agents. It's the niggas who live by the airport. Like, it's who lives close enough to get to the airport for work every day.
Because that energy, they need that energy.
Yeah, it's a low paying job, and it's accessible, so people will take it. So like, that's when you buy up those cheap properties that are in the hood. You start pushing the poor people out who live there to use it for Airbnb, so some tourists can come like get an authentic feel of what it's like to live in Orlando. Like, and then eventually you buy up enough of those properties, poor people don't live here anymore. It's like what happened to Brooklyn. Like Brooklyn, at first it was like you get to live in the home of Biggie Smalls, and you get to live in the same neighborhood where Jay-Z grew up. And now it's like
you get to live in the home that we evicted Biggie Smalls' mom at. Yeah.
Like it's like, yo, we got a mural of Biggie, but Biggie could never afford to live here when he was a kid. Like we got a Jay-Z picture on the wall, but like this nigga wouldn't live. Well, Jay-Z is a capitalist, so maybe he would want to live there still. But like all these rappers and you're idolizing and like being like, yeah, they grew up here. Their families couldn't stay here now if they tried. Like my pops is from Brooklyn. He can't go back to Brooklyn. That nigga moved to Jersey because he can't. He's priced out. He can't afford to live in the neighborhood he grew up in.
Yeah, and that's what's fucked up, you know, because it's just, you know, robbing the area of his culture. I remember, because when I moved back out here, California, 3 years ago, around that time, just like going to Oakland, that was like, I had been before, you know what I'm saying, but I'd never really spent too much time there. And I remember, I was, one of my exes, the family lived like close to off of Martin Luther King Boulevard. So I remember like the first time I was like going over there to pick her up, I was like, okay, you know, Martin Luther King Boulevard, this is West Oakland. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, let me keep my head on the swivel. Like, you know, I know, you know, Martin Luther King, at least, I don't know, where I grew up, Martin Luther King Boulevard was always, I think that's everywhere. It's always like the worst area.
The neighborhood I said I lived in with like the crackheads up the street and the smoke shop, like off Martin Luther King Boulevard. Like this is our street. Here's Martin Luther King Boulevard right here. That was the main road right there.
That's what's fucked up, man. Like it almost feels like that's like intentional. Like they were, I don't know. Like, but anyways, and I was like, all right, you know, whatever, you know, just get ready or whatever, or keep your eyes open. I see some white lady, with her little white poodle, just running by, like not running from someone. She was jogging, she was exercising. I'm like, what the, you know, and another like, I don't know, white dude, middle-aged, business casual, going by on a bike. I'm like, oh, what the hell? Like, so yeah, you know, I mean, I feel like it's one of those things, you know, it's like a smoke screen. Like it kind of looks good on its surface. Like, oh, they're putting more money into into the area, blah blah blah, cleaning up the streets. And I was like, yeah, but can you do that without now the people can't live here anymore? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
yeah, like I got a friend, their family used to live in San Francisco and they lived there like their whole childhood. And now like they could no longer afford to live there. They had to move to like Concord or something like that. And yeah, so yeah, yeah, like I think the whole thing with that was like Airbnb, like predictably in the last year, and the change is like I guess they're losing money, you know, 'cause people aren't traveling as much. But yeah, it was just something that, you know, like I didn't even think of, but it's like, yeah, that's exactly because you know, you notice that when you go on the app to purchase a property, it's like, oh, you own this one, this one, this one, this one, and so, but yeah, so
Yeah, and I think and we had talked about it in the Discord because you were like, all right, so how do we like?
yeah,
Is there a way to do like Airbnb, but like black people do it,
right.
and it's still like, and it helped the neighborhood, and it's like, not really.
Not
Like, that's the
really,
problem.
yeah.
It's like because if whether a black person got money or a white person got money, at the end of the
Right.
day, we're raising the price value here without
Right.
putting money in people's hands. Like,
Right.
because like and this is like a problem because I see this with like black people who like are really bought into capitalism. They're like, well, we just all like, you know, go to the black businesses and support them, and like, you know, we'll buy back the block and make the neighborhood better. That's like,
Right.
unless them black businesses are like what we call like co-ops, where it's like we all own this, not like one guy owns it and
Right.
exploits the labor of all his workers, or unless even like they pay decent wages. Like black businesses usually don't have the money like to pay $20 an hour, like to pay living wages. So like the niggas who work here are still going to be poor. Like the niggas who live in that neighborhood are still going to have to go somewhere, whether a black person buys up the neighborhood or not. Like I think it was like Jeezy and like Rick Ross were like, yeah, we got to buy back the block. And I'm like, all you're going to do is make it to where like, you know how much white people would be like, I can live in the neighborhood that Rick Ross owns.
Right.
Like they all, you still gonna push niggas out. Like unless you buy back the businesses and make all the businesses, like you're gonna have to take some losses. Like as a capitalist, you're gonna have to take some like, I'm not trying to like, if it means less profit, but like everybody here gets paid $20 an hour. Now we're having conversations about making the neighborhood better because everybody got a little piece now.
Right.
But until we do that, like, you know, Jay-Z can buy up all the businesses he wants to. Like, that shit don't mean anything. As long as if he paying niggas $9 an hour versus McDonald's paying a nigga $9 an hour, are you nice? You're still exploiting niggas. Like, you're still taking advantage of like they got bills to pay, and I'm gonna pay them as little as possible to where they can barely cover those bills.
Yeah. Yeah. Like unless you're buying, so like if you buy an apartment complex and cut everyone's rent by $300, then
right
do that. But yeah. Yeah, man, because like I said, once again, it's like one of those, it's, you know, sounds good, buy black, and it's like, okay, I would rather put money in my own people's hands, you know.
Right.
But at the same time, if you're taking that money and still putting it over here, then, you know, I'm doing the same thing. You know, I'm not actually helping. So yeah, I mean, it's a good point. It's a good point. You know, I don't know if you saw, don't remember the dude's name, but he basically he runs his company like socialist. It's like this white dude. He got like you remember when Bucky came out of Wakanda and how he had his hair done? I felt like his hair was sort of the same. Anyways, but yeah, like I can't remember exactly how he runs it. I don't know if all the employees are like part owners, but I was like, yeah, like I was talking with my boys about this the other day. It's like, you know, if I ever had a company, like I would try to make it like that as much. But like my idea, just like off the top of my head, is like if I had a taco truck, you know what I'm saying? Instead of paying you, okay, you're gonna make this much by the hour, you know. If instead you'll get like a percentage of each taco that we sell, you know what I'm saying? So like, you know, so because I was like, yeah, that all it does is encourage, you know, people to work harder. You know what I'm saying? It's easier to weed people out because it's like, okay, you know, if I'm working hourly, I'm getting this, you know, we all know that. I'm like, oh, I got an hour left. I'm gonna go use the bathroom for 15 minutes and take 5 minutes to walk back to, because I'm getting paid the same with salary, but it's like if you work at a store and like excuse me, like if you're a cashier and you're getting 1% of every order you ring up, then you're gonna you're gonna have motherfuckers.
You're gonna scan it more.
Can I help you, sir? So, but yeah, like I don't know exactly like how that will work, but yeah, I mean it's like instead of, because it's like like I could get super rich, or we could all be doing like really well. You know what I'm saying? And, but it's the thing like with capitalism, like the way it's built up, like it's like built to eat itself, because it's like what we see today, like the gap is so large. Eventually, you only step on people's necks so long. You know what I'm saying? And then motherfuckers gonna want to get up and fight. At least hopefully.
Yeah, it was actually like a bit like, because of all like the unemployment benefits. Like, I think everybody's seeing it in their city where it's like, quote, people don't want to work right now. Like, and it's like, yeah, because you offer niggas $8-9 an hour. Fuck it, I'll keep taking unemployment instead of that. So because of that, a lot of my students are getting jobs, but they're getting like $10, $11, $12, $15 an hour at some jobs because they're just desperate for anybody to come work. And it's still, but because it's still hourly wage labor. What they've been doing is talking to each other like, hey, how busy is the restaurant you work at? Because like one kid works at Hardee's and he's like, bro, I work at Hardee's in the night shift. Nobody eats Hardee's besides breakfast. Like, he's like, all we do is prep. He's like, we prep and then we chill in the back and talk shit for 4 or 6 hours. So everybody's like, yo, I'm trying to get put on at Hardee's. Because like, you don't pay. It doesn't matter what you pay me hourly. At the end of the day, like the money is the same no matter who comes to the restaurant. So I'd love to work at the Hardee's where we get one customer for the night. Like, where I gotta make one burger. Like, Jits was like, hey, you work at which Burger King? What you be doing half the time? And he's like, bro, don't nobody come to that Burger King. They're like, hey, put me on. I don't want to work at Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, they're gonna have you running ragged. Fuck Chick-fil-A. Like, they're like, I don't want to go to Publix. I want to go work at like Walmart where I can hide in the back and not do shit half the night. Because why? Like, at the end of the day, like, you're gonna pay me regardless.
Right. Work smart or not. Can you hear that?
A little bit.
Okay. Let me go shut the window real quick. So as soon as we start talking about, we shouldn't gentrify. Now, as soon as you make that point, you got a motherfucker not to play. Playing that hippity hop.
Yeah, one of the funniest things I seen on Twitter was like, it was a video of a lady just like shooting like hella bullets out the window in the air. Gotta keep the gentrifiers out. Like, gotta let them know shit ain't sweet over here. Like, even if we don't have any real shootings, we don't make it sound like there's some shootings out here. Don't come to this neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see. Like, hopefully, I mean, I feel like, like we said this already. The answer to all this that we're talking about, reparations. Just give Black people reparations. Because I remember, that was like what you were saying, like, with the organization, you're a part of, y'all, try to focus on just, putting money into people's hands, giving them exactly what they need instead of, what I'm saying? It's like, okay, if you guys, it's not gonna get rid of racism, but it'll rate like one of the things that racism adds to is the wage gap. So I was just like, okay, this cop may still pull me over or whatever, but now we can afford better attorneys. You know what I'm saying? We can sue y'all better, whatever. We can, we can curb the behavior in that way, or, just okay, now, we got the money to go to any school that we want to, or, what I'm saying, to actually go to school because now I don't have to work. So, if you didn't know by now, like, this podcast is a big supporter of reparations. If you haven't read The Case for Reparations by Ta-Nehisi Coates, strongly suggest it. But gentrification bad. Unless it's What's go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was gonna say that there's a Huey Newton quote I've been pushing with our Patreon, where because it wasn't even in his book, it was in Elaine Brown's book, like the woman who ran the Black Panthers for a few years. But Huey said, he was like, black people know, like I'm a butcher the quote, so I'm just paraphrase. He said basically black people know they're poor,
Yeah.
but they haven't started tying their poverty to the system of capitalism yet. They haven't made that connection. He was like, our survival programs, which is like everybody knows Black Panthers for the guns on like state capitol.
Yeah.
But like people also know that like they were giving kids breakfast. All they did was feed kids breakfast. And that shit, and the government was like, yo, chill. Because
Right.
like, and Huey was like, what people started to see is, how can the Black Panther Party do so much with so little? Like,
So little.
because these niggas is like me. Like these niggas work in the neighborhood. That's the bartender up the block. That she work at the school. Like these are just, and that's us in like my party, like in PSL. Like I'm a teacher. This other girl's a substitute teacher. This guy worked for the fishing company downtown. Like this girl don't even have a job, but she's just like she's a stay-at-home mom. Like, these are regular ass people.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can the party do so much with so little when the capitalists do so little with so much?
Yeah.
And it makes people make those connections. Like,
yeah.
It's like, damn, like if all of us are all broke and we ain't got shit, but like they can make sure my baby has diapers.
Yeah.
How come those people over there with everything can't do that? Like they need to give some of that up. We're wasting it. They're hoarding.
Mm-hmm. And then that's part of the system of capitalism. If you have to work so hard to get so little, you don't have the time to stop and think like, blah blah blah. Like this is not working for me. You just you're worried about taking care of the next bill. You gotta you're coming home. You just want to relax. Watch a little TV before you go to bed and get up and do it all over again. It's like you're not stopping, and it's easy to get into that like hamster on the wheel mindset. But yeah, I mean. It's like that movie A Bug's Life. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't take long, for you to be on the side of the ant. It's like, oh wait, but it's like, yeah, it's the same type of system,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, A Bug's Life was out here being like communist propaganda quietly. Yeah. they was out here radicalizing the kids.
All right. All right, so the other thing, and this is going to be a two-parter episode. We're going to bring in some fellas in a little bit to talk about. Well, we're not even going to ruin it. You go ahead and wait. But before we close out this part of the episode, there was something that I wanted to bring up. Talking to Feeny a little bit, or just like it's been in the news. Just the whole Deshaun Watson case. And, I'm not sure how much everyone is like caught up with it, which, I mean, I don't even know if we can call it, well, they haven't went to trial yet or anything. It's still, people are, presenting evidence, it seems like. But yeah, that was just something that I saw. I think this is like 2 weeks ago now. No, let me see. This was last week. This was the 19th of just over a week ago, 19th of March. But his lawyer had submitted some paperwork just to like trying to refute some of the allegations that's made against him. If you don't know, I think it's up to 22. I don't think it's raised more. 22 lawsuits. I believe they're all like former massage therapists that work for him, and they all have like different, varying degrees of like misconduct, sexual misconduct that they say he performed, like while in the service or while, during the session. And, but yeah, like his lawyer, so there's like different women. There's a couple women that have like come forward. Excuse me. Couple women that have like put their names on the allegations, and just what I saw last week, that once again, this is all, I guess it's all hearsay from, it's all he say, she say at this point. Anyway, but just like, some of what his defense team was saying was that, some of the women, who alleged this misconduct, there's proof that they like tried to book another session with him, and just like other things like that. Maybe different things that they said to their friends or their family after the incident that kind of like like for instance, if you would think, if I go to Feeny's house, to fix his plumbing, and he gets a little handsy, you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't think that I would be hitting him up, and I didn't like it. You wouldn't think that I'd be hitting him up to, come. I mean, I know it's bad because it's not the best comparison, but so it did kind of. I mean, like I said, it's just people talking. I mean, the lawyer can say that I have proof of this. Let me open the window again. I have proof of this. And then okay. He can say I have proof of this or I have text messages of this until you actually see it, until it's actually like, I can say I got a gun on me, but until I produce said weapon. So, but I don't know. Feeny, I don't know like if there was anything that like stuck out to you on it, or I mean, I still, just before I pass it off, I still say, I'm pretty much under the belief that when there's smoke, there's fire, you know what I'm saying? And you've got 20, people saying this, and, they're not connected, what they didn't work together, but they're all like saying the same thing. Like, it at least doesn't look good, and I'm perfectly fine with, reserving judgment until, everything is out. And but yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue saying I don't know, but it was just something that I saw that I was like, like I haven't heard anyone talk about this, and maybe it's because it's not really anything to say, but this person said that, and then this person saying no, I didn't do it, but it's nothing like concrete. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything that like stood out to you in looking at that.
The main, like the two things that I thought of, like, it was like you said, 22 women, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The main, like, it's kind of like the Bill Cosby thing, and I think Chappelle said this, but I can't remember. But it was like, if you got like 50 something accusers, like,
yeah,
like, and his joke I think was like at least like 10 of them probably lying, but like the other 40, like that still leaves like 40 something women that you rape. Like even if like 10, which is 20% of them, like that's a large chunk.
Yeah.
Even if 20% of them are lying, that's still 40 women that you raped and sexually assaulted. So like Deshaun Watson, like maybe like one girl did like try to book with him again, or like some other girl I didn't overreact at the time, and then like is bringing this up later. Like let's say even like 10 of them are like just in it for the bag or whatever. Like that's still 12 women you sexually assaulted. That's a big ass number. Like that's crazy. And I think the best theory I've heard, I don't know who said it, but it was like, I think the Texans have known about, because everyone's trying to be like, this is the team trying to slander him because he wants to trade or whatever. I was like, nah, I don't think they're trying to slander him. I think they've been helping him cover this up, probably helping pay off some of these women, trying to keep it under wraps. And then once he threw the franchise under the bus and was like, man, fuck this, I'm out, like trade me, like I don't want to be here. They were like, all right, nigga, if it's like that, then like we don't have to be helping you out the way we've been helping you. Go ahead, like you want your freedom, deal with this too. Like you don't get our protection either. Because I could see that. I could definitely see like the Texans being like, all right, nigga, bet. So the payments that are supposed to hit on the first for all 22 of the women every month.
Yeah.
Wait till April 1st. They ain't gonna hit. You gonna see what happens when them checks don't clear.
Yeah, that was my whole thing. It's like, okay, you can say, because like, with Bill Cosby, people were, oh, okay, so we're saying nobody knew about this, and now all of a sudden, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, there may be some validity to what you're saying. It doesn't change the fact that if he did what they're saying he did, it's still a rape is a rape. It don't matter. It don't matter that now people had an issue with it and they didn't before. Like it doesn't change the act, So I remember, like with Watson, the first defense that I heard was like, oh well, these women are saying that I did this, but look at these other women that I didn't do that to. Like, like that's not how it works. That's not how it works. So, yeah. But like I said, I just, I didn't see anyone talk about it. So I'm like, I almost thought the tweet got deleted because it was like Schefter that put it out. And I was like, oh, has this been, was this a fake account or something? But nah, it was still up. But just thought we'd bring it up. Okay. So yeah, what we're gonna do, like I said, we're gonna have part 2 coming up. Feeny's gonna be with us, but just for this segment, I appreciate your insight, conversation, and we'll see you guys literally in a second. All right. I'd like to welcome everyone back to the Splash Brothers Luncheon. Like I mentioned earlier, this is going to be a 2-parter episode, and this is the second part. We're joined. Feeny is still with us, but we're joined by 2 new guests to the podcast. The first is Connor Lane. How you doing? Welcome.
Doing well, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you for joining us. And the other one is Duffman, or is it? What do you want me to?
You just call me Pat.
Pat. Okay. All right.
The Duff Man.
For the uninitiated, it's be like, why do they call this motherfucker Duffman? Okay. So Pat. Yeah, I just pull nicknames out of my ass sometimes, folks. But
yeah, my first name's Comrade.
Yeah. Yeah. We just wanted to have these guys on. This is a question that I just posed to the court, and these are the guys who responded over the weekend. This is not the first time that I had to do an assignment, but for some reason, I had to do this assignment, but for some reason this time, it just kind of hit me a little bit more. I'm like, wait a minute, I have thoughts. I need to there's some questions about this that I need answered. And so what I'm talking about, the first one we're going to get into is the Stanford Experiment. And yeah, basically what this experiment was, is a dude named Philip Zimbardo. Pretty sure he was a scientist or something. I didn't write down his title, but that's the guy who made the study, or I'm sorry, I said Stanford Prison Experiment, right? I just want to make sure.
Yep.
I get the name
Yeah.
Right. So the experiment was, he wanted to test basically prisons, and he wanted to test, how humans would react in different situations. And so what he did was he had 24 applicants. 12 of them were made into guards, and the other 12 were made into prisoners. And he picked them up, or he picked the prisoners up, and he basically in-processed them just like you would any criminal. And then they even got strip searched, which, we're going to talk about it, but there was just there was just certain things that stood out to me of just okay, because like I said, he told these kids that he was conducting research. He told them their roles. He told them beforehand that, no one's going to put their hands on you, or this is a simulation. It's not supposed to, they're getting paid $15 a day. But there's just certain things I feel okay, you guys can arrest me. That's fine. But when we get to you're not going to treat me like an actual prison. Okay, if you want to call me by my number, that's fine. But I think when we got to we'll strip down, that I may have been okay with. I think they got stripped down and then sprayed. I just would have, I just feel because to me, and like I said, we can go whichever way you guys want. But to me, that what stood out was, I could kind of understand being a guard. I can kind of understand maybe going a little power hungry or going a little bit too far. Not some of the things that some of these guys ended up doing, but the prisoner mindset I couldn't understand, because I'm okay, you guys are not the police. This is not a real prison. So it's just I'll play along, but there's I couldn't understand some of the things that these guys put up with, you know what I'm saying? And then even I thought maybe too, okay, maybe it was the guards like all 12 applicants were there at the same time. So like, okay, so it's like you guys are evenly even numbers, and they had like batons or whatever. So maybe, you know, that kind of played into like, oh, okay, well, we'll do what they're saying. But no, it was 3 guards each shift. So at any given time, the prisoners always outnumber the guards. But yeah, so I don't want to take up too much of it, but yeah, that was like what stood out to y'all about this, and then, you know, we can get into like some of the criticisms and, you know.
I think one of the most interesting parts was like they didn't just get selected and then decided who was who. Like it was a coin flip. It was completely random. Like as far as studies go, as flawed as it was a really solidly run, like with controls and that kind of thing, and randomization, that kind of thing. But when they were getting picked up, they were arrested by real police.
Yeah,
like the Palo Alto Police Department was the one that arrested them, handcuffed them, and then essentially onboarded them or
process them. Yeah,
that's crazy to me. And I can't imagine signing up for a study and then I get arrested in the middle of the fucking day.
Hey.
So
we're all in agreement here, right, fellas? Like,
and like $15, that's like barely minor league baseball.
So
$15 a day is crazy.
So to give kind of a little bit more context and kind of a more psychological like background to it, the year is 1971. Like apparently $15 a day was pretty good for like a college kid, because that's who this study was targeted at. Like you mentioned, kind of, calling you by your number, like kind of stripping you down of your identity. So the 3 kind of main things that were in play here were anonymity. So all the prison guards had reflective sunglasses, all had the same uniform. So like it kind of felt like you weren't really talking to a person as a prisoner. The prisoners were all stripped down of their identity. So they're like, oh, hey, number whatever. And power. Like those guards had power to basically do whatever they wanted to. And what go ahead.
I'm just saying they had power with air quotes. That's the part that just kept standing out to me. Like, okay, like I said, like I'll play. I don't mean to cut you off. It's like I'll play along, but like
within reason.
Yeah, like because you're not actually police. But go ahead. My bad.
And so what Zimbardo wanted to know was, given kind of these characteristics, would humans naturally be cruel to each other if you were just told, okay, you have power over these individuals, you can kind of make them do whatever you want to do. And that is insanity. And one of the, like, we can talk about the flaws in a little bit about like, selection of people who came in, like who this was targeted at, like any type of screening that was done. But it's just insane that, like, given the kind of first results that anyone would see, they were like, oh wow, humans are terrible to each other.
Yeah.
And like that may not be the case if you kind of dive a little bit deeper into it, into the study and kind of its flaws in practice.
I think one of the things with that is like people. I think people are naturally can be cruel. I don't think it's beyond anybody to be cruel. I don't think anybody's perfect in that way. But I think what they did is that they hyper-humanized one group and gave them the power, gave them, and they're like with the mirrored sunglasses. There's like all logical studies about the mirrored sunglasses when you look at someone and see yourself. How like not dehumanizing, but how like it makes you kind of restrain yourself, that kind of thing, or it creates a level of fear.
Right.
And so they humanized the guards and gave them all that power, and then focused the rest of their time on dehumanizing the inmates. And the guards did part of that too. But the study was based on dehumanization, which is, I mean, as real to prison as you can get, because prison is all about dehumanizing people and making it to where they have to be, or they're psychologically forced to be docile and tame until someone snaps, which, I mean, that happens several times. But I think the dehumanization process that went into this prison, it says a lot about the justice system that we have, because that's what they had to do to make it real.
Right.
But I think that's what created a lot of the atmosphere that this was working with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think like Connor made a great point. Like humans, like all humans have like the capacity to be cruel. Like that's I don't think it's beyond it. Like as much of a good person that guy might be, it's like, you know, the right combination of the right circumstances. I anybody has the capacity to be like a vile, cruel person.
Yeah.
And I think like what the experiment kind of showed about like prison and the justice system, like is like and I know like, you know, absolute power corrupts absolutely and all that stuff. But I think what it gets into is like humans are like super multifaceted. Like we have the capacity for cruelty and violence and like evil. We have the capacity for love and empathy and like and everything in between. Like there's humans can be and like a lot of different things.
Right.
And if you put people in a system that exploits or not even exploits, that emphasizes and like even like rewards the worst parts of human behavior,
right.
then what you'll get is the worst parts of human behavior.
Yeah.
Like those guards, there was no incentive to be good, to be nice.
Right.
There was no incentive to like be good to the prisoners. So when you push humans to be their worst selves, like we'll be our worst selves.
Exactly.
I would say there's incentive to be the opposite of good people to even nice. I mean,
yeah, and I think that that kind of is a good like segue to because you remember the John Wayne guard, and how like I remember the first time I saw, I think someone made a movie. I think I saw the movie first, and then this last time I saw like it was an actual documentary. But the movie was making that guard like basically like he just had these ideas like, oh, you know what, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do this. And then if you look at I didn't write down but basically it's not hard to find. There was a lot of criticisms of this test, and one of them was that there's there it is. One of the people that Zimbardo consulted with, he was a former prisoner, I think in San Quentin, and he was like, some of the things that I told Zimbardo, that's what this kid was doing. And it's like, you know, it's possible that Zimbardo just picked Joker, but I think even the kid said like, nah, he was telling me, oh, do this, do that. So Zimbardo was manipulating the study, which.
Yeah, he put himself in it as the prison director, and that's I mean, you can't do that. That's a major flaw.
Yeah, and so I was sorry. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So you guys know Vsauce, like the YouTube channel, does a bunch of science videos.
Heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So he did like a YouTube series called Minefield, where he did an entire episode about the Stanford Prison Experiment, and he talked to like that John Wayne guard, like that kind of like main character of the study, as it were. And like some quotes that I pulled from that interview is they were never led to believe that they were part of the experiment, and that it was the behavior of the prisoners that Zimbardo wanted to study. And as the days went on, the guards could hear what the researchers were talking about, like, and so that's clearly going to have an impact. And some really, really damning quotes, like he said, how can I build on each previous day? Like, what can I do to push these prisoners farther to like the extreme behavior?
Right.
And he started kind of feeling like he was an actor, like trying to really settle in, like he's Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood. But that comes to the point where, when does it stop being acting, and when is this actually what you are as a person?
Right. And I think too, like, I mean, the age of the applicants, like nobody was older than 24, right? Like these were college students.
Kids.
So it's like I was talking about this with my girl. I was like, yeah, that's the same age. You know, like there's a reason that the military recruits, you know, that particular age, because it's easier to, you know, more malleable and stuff like that. And that's like what you could see with this guard. Like he said, yeah, he had just seen Cool Hand Luke or something like that, and I guess he wanted to act it out. but yeah, they were also being influenced and pressured. But yeah, like Zimbardo, this dude, he should have went to jail. Like the false imprisonment, like I said, because he had told them originally, like, okay, if you want to quit, you can quit, like no problem. And then, but some of the kids that played prisoners were like, nah, they went up to him and he was like, you can only leave if it's a psychological breakdown or medical. And then he was like, well, no, I told them they have to say, I quit the study. If they don't say those exact, like, dude, like, what are you, like a fucking, this ain't fucking,
Safe word. It's talking about BDSM.
yeah. Like, bro, what's wrong with you, dude?
Hey,
Like,
rubber ducky, and I'll let you out.
yeah.
Pineapple.
So I think one of the most striking things that I saw there, I think it was nearly half of all the prisoners ended up quitting due to psychological distress, or they went home, that kind of thing. And I think it was really interesting that not a single guard did.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the cruelty inflicted on the people affected them such a way, especially when it comes to isolation, which is absolutely fucking nuts that we actually do that still. It's not part of this experiment. It's part of actual prison. And they're not, like, people in the actual prison system, they don't get to just go home. They don't get to say rubber ducky and go home. So I think that is kind of an indictment on our prison system, that isolation affected these, normal. I don't want to say that the prison system has abnormal people, but I'm saying like they weren't having outside issues, at least that were apparent. They were recruited because of their normalcy, is how it was said.
Right.
And then on top of that, it was around halfway through the experiment that the guards started convincing themselves that the prisoners, so to speak, were dangerous and they were a threat. And I think that's a product of the dehumanization. Is once you dehumanize someone enough, you start to see them as literally just an animal, and you've caged this animal, and they're going to be violent. And you're creating this to justify why you're doing these things. And just to see that process play out in real time, whether it was influenced or not, I didn't see that it was. At least that portion of it was influenced. Like, these people are dangerous, they're trying to kill you, that kind of thing. No one told them that. They had dehumanized them to a point in their minds where it made sense for them to be dangerous, and then that justified more cruelty. So everything kind of doubled down on itself and just created an absolute nightmare. And it's still shocking that none of the guards quit. The cruelty was not an issue for them. Receiving it was.
That's the whole thing. Like I said, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I can understand the guard to a certain extent, but like, you're only paying me 50. Like, I don't care what kind of study you're doing, or you're saying how important it is. One, let's like break it down to the base level. You're only paying me $15 a day. I'm not getting, if you're gonna have me like actually doing prison guard shit, as far as like, locking people in rooms and all of this, like, you gotta, I'm not gonna do that because it's like, okay, these people are this is fucked up. We're making them use the bathroom or keep the bucket. We're not giving them toilets, we're taking away beds, like, for what? Like, this is, so like I was saying, like, that was kind of that part was, even though, the study was manipulated in a lot of ways, I feel like that part of it did, like, illustrate, like, some real, like, people will do that, you know what I'm saying? Like, even though, like, let me see. Well, I'm sorry, that's on the it kind of leads us to the Milgram test, but we can stay there for a minute.
Yeah, and like what you're talking about with, like, candidate selection, like, you say that, I think that all of us are good enough people that we wouldn't, like, beat and imprison people and be cruel to them for however much that is in today's money per day. But it was interesting. I heard someone describe kind of the ad basically said looking for people for a prison experiment,
right?
Like a prisoner guard experiment, and how, like, that that wording in advertising can kind of draw people out that like maybe aren't as compassionate for other people,
Right,
and kind
right.
of
Sure.
like sway the spectrum like further down like the moral hierarchy ladder, I guess.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, that was because there's been different attempts to like recreate the study. What Pat was talking about, I believe it's the same thing. There was like researchers in Western Kentucky. They tried to recruit students using the same methods that Zimbardo did, and like what Pat said, like the people who showed up they had a higher, they tested higher in social dominance, aggression, authoritarian traits, and like lower in empathy. But those people tested much lower than who Zimbardo brought in. So that's another way that it looks like the study was manipulated. Like he was like handpicking, like it wasn't just oh, I just threw this out and people came in. Like, no, he was looking for particular people. So,
And that,
Yeah, 'cause I think.
go ahead, Feeny.
My bad. I was gonna say, I think like it's a weird thing. Like, 'cause it's hard to gauge. But, like everybody's capacity for empathy is different, and like I do wonder, like among those guards, like how, like, and I don't know if there's a way to know, but like how many of them dehumanize the prisoners to the point where it was like, yeah, like I need to like tame this animal the way like Hunter said it. And I also think there's like probably an element of like what I'm doing is fucked up, but like I can't not do it because the other guards are doing it. Like I don't, like if they're capable of this cruelty to the prisoners, they're capable of it to me. Like I need to like stay with the group. And two, like after a certain point, it's like I gotta keep doing this, or else these prisoners might fuck me up. Like
Yeah.
like I think I forgot. I think it was Neil Brennan. Like he's a comedian, and he's like I think white people are afraid of black people because they like when they see black people, they see like walking karma. Like when they see like when the police say like we're looking for a 6'2" black man with like a short haircut. What like white people hear is like we're looking for like a 6'2" like bald karma, like for the fucked up things that we like that our ancestors did or that we do or participate in, or like the way we don't stop things from happening. He's like I think like a lot of white people are like looking like if it was me, I'd retaliate. Like I don't know why they're not retaliating. And I wonder if like some of the guards probably thought that about the prisoners. Like it's like, damn, like I took that guy's bed away and like beat on him and like did all this wild shit. Like by day like 6, this guy might flip out and fuck me up. Like I gotta keep him subdued in the fear that he might snap on you.
Yeah.
Because you're aware that you're doing fucked up shit.
Yeah.
And I think part of that, and this is a note that I wrote down kind of like as a parallel, like they separated themselves. They treated themselves as different. They were separating. They weren't students anymore. They were prisoners and guards. So they kind of, and this reminds me of like how police forces work. They just bastardize themselves from their own community. So it completely separates them. They're doing these things to people that aren't them. It won't affect them. These aren't my people anymore. I am here to serve, protect, that kind of thing. And the same kind of thing here. And there's like all kinds of other studies that are based on conformity, like kind of what Feeny was saying when he was talking about how like the other guards are going to do it, so I'm going to have to as well. I mean, I'm not going to be the one that quits. There's a crazy experiment that both of these experiments, the Milgram and the prison experiment, reminded me of. It's the Ash line test. Where they had like 8 people line up and they would show on a chalkboard, like, here is a line and here are 3 other lines. Which line is this most similar to? And they would have like 7 people that worked for the study say the answer that was obviously wrong, and have people pick what, and then the one person would be like the 6th in the row. And after like 5 people pick the obviously wrong answer, do they pick the wrong answer or do they pick the one that's obviously right?
Right.
And 75% of people picked the wrong answer just because everyone else did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's part of this too, is the other guards were doing the same thing and they were all doing it and they were feeding off each other.
Is that kind of like, I remember it wasn't called the line experiment. I think it was like some prank show, but they had people come into like a doctor's office. I don't know if y'all saw this, and there were like 5 chairs and all the chairs were filled, and then randomly like they would play a buzzer and it was 4 actors and one like random person, and the 4 actors would start standing up and sitting back down, standing up, sitting back down, like every 15 minutes, and then like eventually, yeah, it's like what you said. It was like similar. Like majority of people, they're like, oh, okay, I guess it's just what we do here. We just stand up, sit back down every 15 minutes, and then they had the actors leave, and then it was just regular civilians, and they would still do it every 15 minutes.
Oh my god!
When new people were so
Crazy.
yeah. I mean, like I said, to a certain extent, like I understand it. Like we're taught that way. Like like with like the way school. Like I remember learning the reason why desks in classrooms are usually set up a certain way, because when it was set up, this is when like factories were first like coming into the United States, so like teaching kids like, okay, you go down the assembly line, and you know what I'm saying. So
I mean, education and academics, this is all an academic study.
Yeah.
Academics are like, it's based on authoritarianism. Like
Yeah.
it is based and built and excels with, or I say excels, but at least excels within the system or how it's supposed to look with authority.
Yeah.
So they saw this as, well, I've got to do it because this is an academic that's doing this. Surely he's got something to report. I mean, this is Stanford. So, and Zimbardo was, as I'm relatively certain, was a professor at Stanford. And so it was an authority figure telling them what to do and giving it the okay, which I think is a lot of it too. So they increased the cruelty, they fed off that, and it was all under the authority of the academic system and their that they paid money to go to.
Right. It's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it back.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into like talking about the Milgram experiment, and like to kind of give one last note on Zimbardo, I guess 2. Like a lot of this behavior between Stanford and the Milgram experiment can be described as an attempt to like shirk personal responsibility. So like, oh, like someone else told me to do it, so I'm going to do it.
Right.
And one of the craziest examples of this was there's a court case that I'm not sure how long ago, but with 3 U.S. Army Rangers who robbed a bank. And there was one kid, it was like, I think it was like between like 19 and like 21, basically. He was literally a kid, like a new U.S. Army Ranger, like in the middle of like basic training. And his superior officer said, like, okay, we're going to go rob a bank. And this kid was supposed to be the driver, and he was the driver. And like, according to Zimbardo, he, quote, didn't feel like he had his free will, and like his superior told him to do it, and he was like, oh, this is just part of like the training, right? Like, and then like by the end, like he definitely, and he admitted that he knew by like the time the moment came, like, yeah, like this is not just a pretend like training exercise. And the kid ended up with 16 months in jail. Zimbardo was in that courtroom defending him, like using kind of those findings from the Stanford prison experiment to try to say, yeah, look, like authority figures are all to blame, and like there's no personal responsibility for this kid involved. Yeah,
and it's like, it's funny, like I said, the more we talk about it, the more like I see the similarities between like this and the military, because it's like it's the same thing. First time you go in, you process everyone, they shave everyone down, everyone looks the same. I remember, there was a phrase, if if you're the only person doing something, you're doing it wrong. Even if you're doing it right, like we were taught, like follow the crowd. That's like one that was like one issue that I had. Like I can't be that was one reason why me and the military didn't get along. Like I can't, if this doesn't make sense, I can not say anything if you guys want to do it. But if you ask me like, hey, why are we doing this? Like, I don't really fucking know why we did. You guys said to do it. I'm not trying to lose any money, but yeah. So yeah, but I don't know if you guys had more to add on this experiment. We can go ahead to the Milgram, because like Pat kind of
Yeah, just one last thing that I'll send you guys that Vsauce link to put in the description if people want to watch, because he did like his own version of it that had nothing to do with like prisoners and guards, but it was still to test those same three like things: anonymity, power, and depersonalization, using like a buzzer that would annoy a fake team trying to like finish a task, and just to see like, okay, these people have the power to inflict kind of an annoyance or like potentially harm if you turn the dial up like loud enough.
Right.
And it was to kind of see where they would go. And so I think it's a really interesting watch based off this conversation.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely we'll put that link, the Milgram Experiment link in there. We have to put another link in there, but we'll get to that in a second. But we're still let's move on to the Milgram Experiment. Just like what Pat was just saying, like there was a couple theories that well, let's introduce it first. For people who don't know, the Milgram Experiment, but his name Stanley Milgram was he was the one who, it's called the Milgram test. He was the one who basically put it together, and his whole thing was, this was not too long after World War II, and you know, Adolf Hitler and those regimes, and people were trying to like, oh, you know, how could humans be possible of such atrocities, you know? And so his test was to kind of understand that. And basically what the test consisted of, you'd have applicants that responded to an ad, and basically he was telling them, he was instructing them what to do. They were in one room, and it was a paid actor in another room, and he would have the paid actor was supposed to recite back this sequence of letters, and if they got it wrong, then the applicant would hit a buzzer that would shock the patient. And every so often he would turn the voltage up, turn it up, and then like the machine that was turning the voltage up, like you could see like, okay, like after this point it's danger, red, you know, lethal shock. And so he was testing to see if the applicant would keep going. And there was some people who were like, because you could, so each time they turned the voltage up, you know, the paid actor would like yell, you know, the motherfucker sounded like Tom from Tom and Jerry at certain points of that study. But people were like, hey, you know, I'm hurting them, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, I know you hurt them. Keep going.
Keep going, bro.
And it was like, some people would be like, oh, you know, I got to stop. And he was like, you know, the study, the experiment needs you to keep going. Please keep going. But he wasn't commanding them. He didn't hold a gun to anyone's head. And people were just like, okay. And then they were like, like, you know, right before the lethal shock, the dude would yo, like fucking, you know, like fucking Tom. And then the last one, you'd be like, okay, well, this one is saying red, it's saying lethal. You still want me to shock him? He's like, if he gets the words wrong. But the dude, like, I was like, and the guy's, hey, you know, someone might want to go. I'm like, you know, so yeah. Real quick, some of the numbers. I believe it was 19 different iterations of this test. The very first test, though, 65% of the applicants delivered the lethal shock, but all of them administered the 300-volt shock, or what they thought was a 300-volt shock. And then I believe, let's see, I don't know if this was international or this is just his, I'm sorry. Of the 19 studies that he did, it was 61% of the testers delivered that fatal shock. 84% of the participants, even after, you know, the test results came out and all of that, over 84% of them said they really enjoyed the study. Yeah, so tell him, let us know if he needs us again.
That shit was
Same
hard.
time next week, boss.
People.
That shit was kind of lit.
What are we doing next week? Fire? Bees?
He's like, can I see the guy next time?
I want to watch him fly. So one of the crazy parts with those numbers you gave, like the 65% number, before the test, they have their hypothesis stage where they kind of thought like if someone does this, this is what they'll be like, that kind of thing. Before the test started, they thought that anybody that gave that lethal shock would be qualified as a psychopath.
Right.
Like, doctors administering the fucking test were like, these guys are crazy as shit. And then 65% of people gave it to them. And we're like, let's do it again. Like, it's not psychopath behavior. It's complete. And this goes back to what the Stanley experiment was, or not the Stanford experiment was.
Yeah.
It was completely authority. And it's authoritative, like, I'm here. I'm telling you to do this.
Yeah.
It's for a study. We're helping these people. And what's also crazy is like all the obviously all the people that were getting the shock were actors. And they were part of it. But they were also told that every now and then throw around a heart problem. Like, say, if I get shocked like this again, my heart will explode. Like, I have heart problems. And I can feel my heart racing. Please stop. And they fucking do it again.
So your heart about to race more.
He's like the Grinch. His heart's grown 3 sizes with every shot.
Exactly. Man, like, it's so nuts to me. They were hollering like, I'm going to die. And they were like, well, fuck, let's turn it up.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Why are you still talking? Get these words right.
Get these words matched right now. You're going
Spider
to die.
2 Y banana. And yeah, like there was one guy who was like he sounds like he's hurt in there. Go check. And it took him like a couple of minutes to like basically say like he literally verbatim he said, do you take responsibility for whatever happens to him in there? And the researcher goes, yes, I do. And the guy still fucking pushes the button.
Okay.
450 volts to the chest.
I ain't catching the charge, motherfucker.
And he basically turns around in his chair. He's like, do you take responsibility? Are you kidding me? And it's absurd that he still pressed it.
Yeah. Okay.
Bro, I see him hitting the button like feeding a baby like an airplane. Woo!
Yeah. He's hitting it like they're on Jeopardy. Like the first one.
He's like making fire beats with it too. He's like,
yeah. I just got a new ad lib. Motherfucker screaming from the other room. Yeah, it's fucking.
Yo, can I get a sample of that?
But the parallels to Nazism in this, like, right. Obviously it was after the Nuremberg trials,
right?
It was pretty stunning because I mean they did a pretty good job of diversifying the stuff. The ad they put out was for like the average Joe, like anyone that works in a factory, anyone that does like, and they put these regular jobs, not like professors or a bus.
They had like business people. They had like I remember it was like people from like 24 to like 65. Yeah, like people in all really different places.
Diversified study, unlike like the Ashline experiment or the the Stanford prison experiment. It was a really well done study, and it's absolutely fucking terrifying.
Yeah. There is a few because I did look at I was like because that's what I was trying to figure out like how does this where was this study conducted? Who were the applicants? And this was the town or the county of New Haven in the 1960s. Yep. But some of the things that I found was one, they were all men, which I think, and for his study, they were all men. I think in the studies or in the experiments that have copied it, they used women, but it was still like a pretty large number. More than 10%. It was easily more than 10%. I think I saw like 40-50%. Like people were still like would push that dose and kind of let's see, where is it? Yeah, there was two theories that Milgram, was pushing, or he was pushing against, or he added to. The first one, and Pat's mentioned both of these. The theory of conformism, that a subject with neither the ability or expertise in a situation, when in a crisis, will leave the decision making to the group and the hierarchy. And you could see, like what Connor just brought out, one of the applicants was like, hey, do you have responsibility for this? Are you accepting responsibility for this? And they tell them yes. And they're like, okay, so they were able to push that guilt onto somebody else. And then the other theory was the agenic state theory, the essence of obedience. If a person believes that they're carrying out another's will, then psychologically they're able to absolve themselves from that liability or that guilt. Like I said, okay, well, he told me to do it. So it's not on me. He said, yeah, he said he'll tell the cops it was his gun, that he fired the shots. Then okay, well, so yeah, but it's really scary and sick shit. But oh yeah, that's the other thing. Some of the criticisms was, one, this area, New Haven, modern day, it's 80% white, 10% black, and no other race by itself makes up 5% of it. So, not to say, I'm not gonna say that this was okay, that only white people, will have these kinds of sociopathic and Joker-like behavior and qualities, but the people that he studied, that was like my biggest criticism. Like, oh, that's what I wanted to see more with the Stanford prison experiment. Like, yo, have you guys done this? Like, okay, you tested, 20 to 24 middle-aged white male college students. Like, okay, what if we go to, another let's say if we get poor kids, okay, what if we mix up the background, blah blah blah. Like that didn't happen in the Stanford prison experiment. With this one, at least I know Milgram's his 19 demonstrations, these were the demographics. Another criticism is that he encouraged applicants to continue. Once again, though, he didn't hold a gun to anyone's head, he didn't force them, but he was like, I got it, yeah, keep going, we need you to keep going. And then also the criticism is that it's not representative of a real life situation. Like, you think what situation would be like this? Like, even the closest thing I can think of is where you have that, okay, if you divert the train,
the trolley problem.
You'll kill 4 people, but if you do nothing, 8 people will die.
Yeah,
it's like that's kind of the same situation, but in this one you could have not hurt the person at all in the other situation. And then even in that, like, I remember, I believe, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think more people were willing to, well, if I don't do anything, then I'm not responsible for, and just let the 8 people die because they don't want the 4 on their conscience. And I think that was like, I remember, we had done that in one of my classes, and like the class, it was more toward, well, I won't do anything. I don't want to,
have personal responsibility,
right.
even though
by
not doing it is still like technically a choice and all of that. Have any of you guys seen The Good Place?
Yeah.
So do you remember the episode where they literally did the trolley problem?
I was just thinking about that. Yeah.
They like repeatedly would keep on doing it because like there's no correct answer. There's no situation where it turns out okay. Like for either the people on the tracks or the person that having to make that choice. Like,
right.
It's hard to like have that type of thought experiment and decide on like a real answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think for them, like, and this is where I think the trolley problem is a little different than like the Milgram and even like the Stanford experiment, and what makes Milgram like I know like the criticism says like it's not a realistic situation, but I think by like it wasn't just like blindly buzz, like, electrocute this person. It was they made a mistake and earned this shot by being like wrong, by being correct or whatever. And I think like what makes that similar to like Nazism, or we can like bring it to like modern day like police and stuff, or like even like prison with like Stanford Prison Experiment, is like after a point, like if you tell somebody like this person deserves what's happening to them, or even like you give the implication like Nazis were like, well, I was just following orders, but they also were indoctrinated and like bought into like, well, these people are bad because they're Jewish people, and because like they're all this propaganda they bought into, like they ruined our country and blah blah blah. So it makes it a lot easier to harm somebody, even like in these like super cruel and vile ways.
Yeah.
When especially an authority figure has told you these are bad people. Like police like drive around and like it's like a really stupid reference, but like it's like the Rick and Morty episode where they like do like Rick and Morty, like it's not Rick and Morty, but it's like they're like on the Rick like Sanctum or whatever. There's a bunch of Rick and Mortys everywhere, and like there's like even the Morty who's a cop is like, Morty's killing Mortys, like never changes, because it's like, I've been told that these are like stupid people, they're broken, they're dumb, like they'll kill each other regardless. So what difference does it make if I exploit them or hurt them?
Right.
And it's like, cops do that. Like there's been people who've done ride-alongs where like people like cops are just like driving around like, I wish one of these motherfuckers would try me. I wish one of these niggers would say something, like, because they've been told that these are bad people, they're criminals, they're naturally violent. Like, so there's an incentive and a reason to hurt them. Like there's justification when you pull your gun out or your baton out or whatever. And the same thing went for these people. Like they're like, well, if they would just stop getting the words wrong, I could stop shocking them. Like, it's not my fault.
Yeah, if they would have just complied, if they would have just complied, Feeny, comply with these words, I wouldn't have to shock them. But
you're asking for it. Like
And you mentioned it with like modern day policing. Like one of the first things to come out after George Floyd was killed last year was like he had drugs in his body. Like and that kind of, for a lot of really shitty people, were like, oh, drugs are bad, so he's a bad person. Like he deserved to die.
He's no angel.
Oh yeah, he was no angel. Like,
right.
Like, and with the experiment, I thought was really interesting is the people that were there with the person administering the shock, like the actual, like the test giver, they were given lines for when the people would complain. And they also had limits. So if you complain 4 times, you're out. They end the trial. And if you give the 450 volt lethal shock 3 times, you're out, which I think is crazy. If you just kept fucking hitting the button,
hammering it,
you're out of here, dog.
Is it working?
Like you're playing a Mario Party video.
You're not yelling anymore.
You're just smacking it.
You're just poking with the stick. Like, what's going on? But also, like, the lines they were given, it started off, so it's like sort of innocently, like, he has a heart problem, but it's painful, but it won't harm him. It doesn't affect the heart. All the way to something that got really dark at the end, where it was like, you have no choice. You must continue. That was like word for word what they had to say after like a serious complaint. It's like, you have no choice.
Yeah, man. I feel like maybe it's the product of like growing up in such a strict household. Like, I pay attention to what you say. Like, if you say, hey, you're volunteering, this is volunteer work, I take that. Okay, that means when I want to stop, I can stop, and there's no consequences for it. Like, you tell me, you can leave at any time. That's like my whole thing with the Stanford Prison Experiment. Like, okay, you could, like, you guys not gonna put your hands on me. Like, I would have, like, I can say it confidently, like, I would have made you put your hands on me, because it's like, okay, we're taking your bed away. Like, okay, I'm just gonna leave. No, you're not. Like, what do you mean? No, I'm not. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, like, so that's the part, like, I didn't get. But I guess the conformity, but then even with that, because these people didn't know each other. Like, I know, like, once again, that's something that the military does. Like, if you're not, like, the incentive to, like, let's say, be in shape is like, you're gonna let your team down. You know what I'm saying? If you can't keep up with everybody. So I get that, but it's like with these studies, like, I don't know these motherfuckers. Okay, the guards are gonna think I'm a bitch if I'm like, I don't want to beat up people anymore. Like, okay, like, I don't know you guys. Like, so I don't know. And once again, $15, man. You gotta. I'm not saying like I'm willing to do this, for X amount of money, but I'm not saying, I'm just. It just made it make less sense. That's what I'm saying. It made it make less sense. And even with the Milgram, I think they were getting $4.50 a day or an hour.
Yeah.
So for context on that $15, just looked it up. It's about $98 today.
Yep.
So
that's nothing. That's like an 8-hour shift at Burger King.
Yeah. Like, yeah. And that's both. You know what I'm saying? Maybe, I don't know. If the I mean, yeah. I don't get it. I mean, that one, like I said, I mean, there's so many things that have come out that it's like, okay, he was manipulating this or that. But the Milgram, I don't get at all. Like the criticisms against it were, he didn't they're not saying that he cared as much as he should have of like the psychological effects that it would have on the testers, but it's like, okay, that doesn't, he didn't break any laws like the other guy. This is just we got a bunch of jokers from at least in fucking I gotta stay away from New Haven is like in Connecticut. I got New England, I gotta stay out of that area, man. It's just 61% of you motherfuckers like shocking people.
hey, you better watch out then. I'll be
is
carrying
that
around
a Boston hat, by the way? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll be carrying around
that.
I'll be carrying around that stick of gum that shocks you. You'll never see it coming.
And for context, again, if it was $4.50 a day for this one, that's $38.
Hey, man.
From
38 hours, that's...
which is when the Milgram experiment was.
Wait, was it an hour, or was it a day?
Was that?
Was it an hour or a day?
I think it was a day, but it could be an hour.
Yeah, if it was an hour, now we're talking.
Yeah,
38 an hour.
Yeah.
That's more than I get paid today.
Like,
hey,
I'm 38.
1K and I'm in. I'll shock people for you every day.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'll go up to a certain level for things. Like I'll get the first yow, then I'll stop.
let me get a yow and I'm out.
My hours
no
too.
heart
Like,
condition.
I'll do a lot of like, do I press it? I don't know. Like I'm gonna make them a couple hours stretch for $38 an hour.
Yeah. You gotta make it work for it.
Let me press it again on 2. We'll go back up to 4, I promise.
Feeny said he's gonna be employee of the month.
I'll clean up the ash in the room.
Hey, do you guys smell smoke?
Oh man, it was like, yeah, I'll assist and clean up. I'll go. You want me to go finish the job? Just let me know.
I got a 9 in the truck.
Yeah. Let's speed this up.
He's quiet, but I'll make sure he stays that way.
Like, do I get paid for the whole hour? If
it goes to 8:01, do I get that whole rest?
Do I get paid extra for the louder yow?
You guys got weekend shifts?
Is it by volume or by duration?
Yeah. All right. I don't know. I mean, it's funny, but it's at the same time,
it's horrible.
Super fucked up. Yeah. Hey, it's just like the Boston hat to be over there laughing.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, Pat was reading like, yeah, these numbers, these
that
seems about right. Okay,
it's a bit low, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Stanley. Hey, Stanley, do you need more people?
And the man, how you been?
Make sure it's a Dunkin' Donuts, nearby, so I can get some breakfast.
I'll bring a bucket of water for him.
Yeah,
maybe turn it up a little bit.
Squares a day. I'm in for the long haul.
All right. Well, yeah. Let's get away from that. We appreciate the discussion, fellas. But yeah, just like on a lighter note, what are you guys watching? What are you guys watching lately? What's caught your attention?
I just finished the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
No spoilers.
I'm not spoiling, but you ask, I tell.
No, that's the only like real TV I just watched.
Okay.
You must hate watch it, Feeny. Like you just see Anthony Mackie's face, and you just get like your blood's pumping.
Feeny
I will
watched
say,
it. Go ahead.
Bro, his hairline is so terrible in that.
bro,
It gets progressively worse over the years.
yeah, it's not making me think I can fight him any less. I'll say that. Like, I will say, like, you know, I'm trying not to like spoil, but I'll be really vague. When he was doing them flips and shit, I was like, okay, maybe he got something for me.
Yeah.
But after the last episode, I was like, nah, I got this.
You gotta.
I don't know, like him doing those flips and shit made me think I could do it. Like if fucking Anthony Mackie.
I saw that stunt double.
Yeah, after seeing the stunt double too, like I was like, that's who I'm afraid of. The stunt double and me, and we're never fighting.
Stunt double's gonna run on my fade quick.
Yeah, I'm not fighting the stunt double, but I'll fight Anthony Mackie all day. I've seen that turtleneck on Twitter. I'm not respecting anybody in a turtleneck. That's crazy.
Yeah, so
His collar's tucked down.
Feeny watches the episodes. He watches them on mute with just rocky music. Just studying tape. Like, oh, okay, all right.
He's watching Anthony Mackie while he's running on a treadmill. Getting something to work towards.
Playing what's that song? Lose Yourself. Just
No, it's
Thomas's
not
favorite
even.
song.
It's not the full song. It's just like the spoken word intro.
yeah, exactly. Oh my god. All right. What about Invincible?
Oh man,
What is Invincible? I've heard of it.
So-
I don't know anything about it.
It's a really cool like comic book animated TV show.
Oh no shit.
I think the comic book's like maybe like I think someone posted earlier like maybe like 150 issues. But the first 7 episodes are on Amazon Prime right now. It's a really cool take on superheroes that like I've personally haven't ever seen. It's gory as hell.
Yeah.
But the voice cast is incredible. J.K.
Absolutely.
Simmons, Sandra Oh,
Yeah.
Steve Yuen, Mahershala Ali. There's just the list just goes on and on.
Yeah, it's like have you ever seen The Boys?
Yeah, I saw the first season.
Yeah, I say it's kind of it's not. I guess it's like only one like Homelander is in this season, but kind of not. But it's like it's like a real life look, which I mean it's just getting started. I'm not gonna spoil it. But yeah, like I really enjoy it. It's not for kids. It's definitely not for kids.
Oh, absolutely not.
But, yeah, it's basically like I can say it's kind of like, let's say if Superman didn't give a fuck, like he didn't grow up around humans, you know what I'm saying? So he was just, oh, I'm this superior being. Like that's kind of the main character of the show.
Yeah.
That's like he's just like he doesn't really care. Which it's like Homelander, but
There's a show that I got hooked on recently that is it's like animated like that. It's like an anime, but it's like y'all seen Castlevania?
No, is that on Netflix?
Heard of it.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's fucking incredible. It's
Yeah.
so good. No, I'm super hooked. It's like, you know, it's based off the Game Boy game or whatever. Like it's so much. It's so good, but it's like it's one of those that's super gory. It's animated like anime. It's
I've
really
heard good things.
I really enjoy it.
it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay.
I think they got 3 seasons.
Okay.
And
I
they're
mean,
they're
if
pretty
we're-
they're pretty short seasons. They're a little long episodes, but it's dark as shit. It's Dracula who is literally like the devil
Yeah.
and just fucking up the whole world. Just like out of revenge, that kind of it was fantastic.
If we're gonna talk some anime, recently me and my roommates went through all of Dragon Ball Z and all of Dragon Ball Super, including like a bunch of the movies.
Mhm.
Super fun show. I had never watched it as a kid.
Hey
But-
man, I don't mean abridged. I was hoping you were going to say you saw the abridged. Just watch the abridged.
I actually did watch Abridged as a kid.
Okay, good.
And
Good man.
it was what a journey. When you guys were talking about that a couple weeks ago, I couldn't stop laughing. I was like on the drive home. I had to pull over for a second.
Yeah, I make it like a yearly thing. Like I try to watch if I don't watch from beginning to end, I'll watch it from what is that called? Yeah, Feeny was on the episode, right?
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit, but I watch it from when the androids get there.
Hmm.
The Dr. Giroux. Those I watch it from them.
Yeah, that's
on,
the
but I
Cell
can
Saga.
watch the whole thing. Yeah, fucking that's like
Perfection.
yeah.
Yeah, so, some of the episodes are only like 3 to like 5 minutes long, especially at the beginning. So like I started watching it like I think after we talked about it, or like maybe right before that, I was like, all right, I gotta rewatch this. I'm overdue. And I think I finished the whole thing in like 3 days. Like it,
Yeah. It was a great 3 days, right? It was, it's like I love that. Like I always get sad, like like at the end, like when I watch the when Trunks goes back, when he goes back to the epilogue, like always like, oh well.
Feeny, is that the Outcast shirt that took forever to get here? Was that you?
Yeah, that was me. Like I had to email them because I was just like, where the fuck is like it took like 3 months to get my shirt, and I was like, where the fuck is like they didn't send me an email, a tracking number, but they took my money. So I was like, the fuck is going on? Like, love the shirt, really happy I got it. But
You said that in the chat, and I thought you ordered from like DHgate. No, you fucking Outcast.
it was from their website, like, because what's it called? I got like a bunch of ads about like Stankonia's like 20th or whatever anniversary, like on Facebook, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, I'll buy a shirt. Like I like Outcast, and then Outcast.com. I was like, look, I need to speak to Andre or Big Boy right now.
Yeah,
I need the higher ups.
I was gonna say Andre probably answered the phone personally.
Yeah. Where is Daddy Fat Sack?
The phone just playing the phone.
Put Daddy Fat Sacks on the line.
Her luscious left foot anywhere to be seen.
Yeah. Where is the son of Chico Dusty? Fucking let's see what else. Have you guys all seen I feel like I'm the only one who like hasn't seen all of Last Chance U. Like I'm like I have like 3 more seasons to watch and I'll be all the way caught up. But
I've seen the first 3. The 2 with Buddy Stevens and then the first one with what the heck is his name? Close personal friend. I think his name's Jason or something.
Is he a close personal friend?
Yeah, Tyler and Coley interviewed him on Mixtape.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you.
But yeah, I can't remember why I stopped watching. I think I just got bored. But no, the first 2 seasons, I think I just stayed in for like 2 straight days during the middle of summer and just binge watched it.
Yeah. Yeah, like well, first I'll say fuck Buddy Stevens and then I'll circle back around to that.
Yeah.
But like I can see why people were saying like the last 2 have been the best. Like easily the basketball one was my favorite. I like the Laney College one. I know like part of that is because like I live nearby and I was like, oh, I could, I everywhere they were going, I knew where they were at, and that was cool. But yeah, like the characters, I feel like the characters got better because like the first season, it was cool, but it was kind of like there wasn't anyone to me. Like Ollie was cool.
No one redeemable, really.
Yeah,
other than like the guidance counselor.
Yeah, I didn't see because like that's how season 2 opens. I was like, oh, she was so great. She seemed fucking annoying.
I think she was the only one trying to like legitimately help.
Yeah,
kids.
like that was
and, like, they did her dirty a little bit by basically like showing her as.
Plus, I saw
someone who was just nagging.
I just want not to. I'm not defending anyone. I'm not picking sides. I don't know if you guys remember, the quarterback, the one from Florida State,
John Franklin.
Yeah, are we all caught up, or is it just me and Pat having this conversation? I don't want to like exclude.
I've never seen it, but
Damn, I'm a terrible TV watcher. I've never seen Last Chance U.
Well, I just will say real quick, like there was some sexism because like the whole situation, or it could have been sexism, because the whole situation was is one quarterback, he was like from Florida State. He transferred because he wasn't getting playing time, but he's like Division I talent. And then she brings him in his office. He gets in trouble because he had a girl in his room, and she was like basically saying, "Oh, well, you're a dirty guy for meeting this girl." And then she's basically saying he was bad for like having sex with her. during the first week. I'm like, yo, what if like he was making a bad argument? He was just like, oh, I'm young. This is a thing. He's like, I didn't really whatever, but he kind of looked like Julio Jones. Anyways,
All right, no touchdowns. Then.
Nah, but he was like, or she was like basically saying like that he was a bad guy. I was like, what if that's what the girl wanted to do as well? Like, why are we, So I didn't really like her. Not that that's like, I'm pretty sure that's pretty Bible Beltish.
Yeah, Scuba, Mississippi.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, girls, girls like, apparently. I'm not. Anyway, let's keep
athletic quarterbacks who are going to potentially play in the NFL. Yes,
not that kind of episode. I'm trying to.
Someone get Lee.
Yeah.
Someone tag him.
Is that Jim Jam's music?
That Langston Hornioso. Hey, not to pull a quick aside, and this is mainly for viewers here, but my fiance has a box full of Arkansas memorabilia here, and this scared the fucking shit out of me.
Yeah.
Just scared.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Is that Annabelle?
Is that Chucky?
Yeah.
Bro, it's got a string on the back, and I am not pulling it.
Yeah, pull it. Yeah, pull it. You already here. You already here now.
Pull it.
I don't know why you in the.
There's no chance it works, but let's see. What the fuck?
What do you say?
Just garbles.
Not at all.
That's what you get for being in the attic with no lights.
What? That sounds like the grapefruit method.
Let's see. Terrifying. No, I gotta burn this shit down. That's crazy.
I'm gonna hear that on my sleep tonight. There's no way I don't hear that tonight.
That doll said.
That doll is your sleep paralysis demon.
Oh, I'm taking my ring back.
You in hell, motherfucker.
Have you guys seen the new Mortal Kombat movie yet?
Nah, not yet.
Oh yeah.
Connor. Yeah, we watched it together, Connor. I'm gonna spoil one little thing for you because it's cool as hell. And if this convinces you to watch the movie, I hope it does. Sub-Zero, he shanks a guy, and then as the guy's blood's coming out, it freezes. He grabs it in midair and stabs the dude with his own blood.
I think wasn't that in the? I feel like I saw that in the preview.
The trailer.
I think that's in the trailer, but it looks even cooler in the movie.
I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't like, I don't like gory I don't like gratuitous gore, and that's like what I've seen.
Oh yeah, that's what this entire movie.
And that's I've played the game, and that's why I didn't like the game. I was like, I was like 6 years old. Like, no, this is.
That scene is like it's like that Trill tweet where he's talking about like if I don't care what I'm doing or where I am, if I lose a tooth, I'm going home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stab me with my own fucking blood.
Yeah,
I'm calling it quits.
like ACAB and everything, but you stabbed me with my own blood. I'm calling somebody.
Yeah.
I'm calling Stanley Milgram, asking if I can be in that trial at like 700 volts.
Yeah, and any game that's like signature move is like fatalities. It's like you know what you're signing up for. Like,
yeah.
What a terrible movie. It was a great time though.
That was a great time.
You got us the
bunch of Photoshop.
Harvey mouth. Photoshop.
You got us Steve Harvey's face on Lori Harvey's face. Horrifying.
Can that be the episode photo?
Please.
Wait. Is that meme was made because of the movie?
Yes.
Well, in a way, because so it was the Jax, with the metal arms. He looks like Michael B. Jordan mixed with Steve Harvey, and so I was trying to come up with a picture of what what their kids are going to look like, Lori Harvey Jordan, and I came out with this guy. So. Super upsetting.
I don't. You know what? So with the way this episode is going to start, I don't think it would be appropriate.
Oh no!
Picture.
Oh no!
You gotta do a director's cut with that as the end.
Yeah, I don't want to that's almost like I feel like that's like that would produce like the story of Addie Don. How that. except in reverse. Like, you guys remember? I know this is completely off subject, but do you guys remember when it dropped? I had to pause the song and like restart it because I was so blown off by the picture that So I don't want. We talking, Black liberation on the first half and fucking Milgram and Stanford Experiments on the second. We got that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work.
You know what? I totally understand.
Slore Eve.
Oh. But for the comedy of it.
Yeah.
All right, fine. We'll settle for the Patrick Star with Steve Harvey's face.
Stanley Milgram with Steve Harvey's mouth.
Man. The Mr. Potato Head one was funny to me.
Yep.
With throwing me.
You're in the verse.
What your ass say?
I've got a whole folder on my computer just because of that night of just people. Like, I didn't even post most of them with people
Just requesting Steve Harvey's mouth.
Yeah. I'm not happy about it, but it is what it is.
Hey man, and if you can explain it to your girl why you got Steve Harvey's mouth in your phone.
Look, I don't have to explain anything. Did y'all see that goddamn doll? I don't have to explain a goddamn thing.
All right, well, just before we get out of here, because we've been going, I promised these fellas that by about 9:30 we be getting out of here Eastern time. I just
an hour.
and I can this will also be included in the show notes. But I think we're all former mixtape listeners, I'm pretty sure. You know what I'm saying? So this is not gonna be a shock to us, but just this guy, Twitter @SlangDini, DINI. He had a nice little thread of just illustrating how black as shit Babe Ruth was, although fair-skinned. But there's like different articles that link to it. Like I said, if you're a mixtape listener, then some of this is we've already got this information. But for instance, there was an article that sourced Babe Ruth's daughter, and they were saying how he didn't get managing jobs. He didn't get any managing jobs or didn't get them earlier because he would have broke the cover line earlier. Like he was like focused on doing that. Bill Bojangles, which especially if you live in the South at all, you got a Bojangles restaurant.
That's him.
No, it's not him. It's not him, but he.
I got someone to thank for both your biscuit right now.
No, he kept Mr. Bojangles around with him all the time. Fucking Ty Cobb's racist ass.
I love how a good part of that thread was just he's obviously black because Ty Cobb fucking hated him.
Yeah, and like
that was
the major league. Yeah, the major league. Like, and you see these pictures, like it's like he's not. Like I could see Cuban, I could see Dominican, but it's like very So I mean, he may not. He's not. To quote the last, he's not Tyrese. You know what I'm saying? He don't look like Tyrese, but. Yeah, like his nickname as a kid was Nigger Lips, which I mean, did you guys grow up with similar? I hope not.
No,
I didn't.
Okay.
This may come as a surprise to everybody here. I did not.
Okay. I don't know if that's something that white people call their children from time to time, but just so I'll post the thread, and so. There we go. Fucking, you guys got anything before we get out of here? Anything you want to plug or shout outs? I think you're okay.
Looks like Feeny's trying to talk, but there's no audio coming out of his mouth.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he's 100% trying to talk.
No, we can't hear you.
Oh, I heard it. Nope.
I think he's challenging Anthony Mackie. That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
Bro, he's working
He's about to throw those hands up.
Y'all hear me now?
There we go.
There you
There
go.
we go.
I don't know. My headphones freaked out. I'm gonna take my headphones out.
Okay.
I was gonna say that it makes sense that Babe Ruth is black. One, because every other best baseball player of all time is black, like Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Barry Bonds. And two, and most importantly, I just want to take away Babe Ruth from white people. Nothing would make me happier than to take white people.
Yeah.
I give you Ted Williams too.
I can't do
Why
that.
Ted Williams?
We don't deserve him. Like,
I was about to say, let me look up a picture of Ted Williams.
Found against the city of Boston, your house right now.
Yeah.
Hey man, yeah, it's just, that's one thing getting older. You just, like when I learned about Christopher Columbus, like, well, okay, why we celebrate this motherfucker again?
He discovered a country that had people on it. That's why.
Yeah.
Come on, get with the program.
Yeah, he thought he was, dumb motherfucker. Yeah. Well, all right, yeah. So Babe Ruth, we might you might see the Hurricane rocking a Babe Ruth jersey now. You know what I'm
that'd be
saying?
electric, man.
Yeah. I do, like
those jerseys are, if you're gonna get an authentic jersey, those jerseys are Brillo pad.
authentic. Yeah, I don't want no.
He's wearing like a
game
sheep's coat,
worn. No, thank you. Got fucking hot dog and
cigars.
yeah.
I mean, if we can prove that Babe Ruth is black, we'll have Babe Ruth jerseys in the barbershop by like next Friday.
Hey, man. Sure. I mean, it's pretty. Like I said, I'm gonna do my part.
I think the evidence is there.
Yeah, you guys make sure you retweet this episode because I'm gonna do my part to spread the word. You know what I'm saying? Maybe, yeah. It's funny. That's funny. All right. Well, yeah. Once again, appreciate these guys, for Connor, for Pat, for Feeny. Appreciate y'all for listening. Remember to rate and subscribe. Give us 5 stars. Let's see what else. Oh, if you have questions, the email is going to be in the description. And so yeah, we'd love for y'all to be part of the show. And yeah, for these guys, signing out. See y'all next time.